right, very good. Sorry for the delay. At this time, I'd like to call the regularly scheduled village board meeting to order. Let the record reflect that it's May 1st, 2018 at 7:33 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Here.
Trustee Panito.
Here.
Trustee Berg.
Present.
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Glotz.
Present.
Trustee Megan.
Here.
President Vandenberg.
Here. We're all present and accountable. Thank you. Item number 1, at this time I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Yonker. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Brady. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 2, at this time I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the minutes of the special village board meeting and the regular village board meeting held on April 17, 2018.
Jake, I'd like to amend the minutes of the April 17th regular board meeting regarding the motion that I made to remove item B from the executive session. It should have been item E. I said I'd like to make a motion to remove item 2 from the executive session agenda. It should be discussed in public. And then Mayor Vanderick thought that I was referring to item B, but it was item 2, which would be item E.
I think everybody's clear on that. I think we talked about that already. Any questions about that amending? Clerk, do you have that then?
Yes, I do.
Very good. Is that a separate motion to amend that?
You make a motion to approve subject.
So you made a motion to approve the amendment. Is there a second?
I don't think we got a motion, so.
Is it properly
Yeah, I did.
make a motion?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So it's a properly motioned by Trustee Glotz. Is there a second to the
Second.
amendment? Seconded by Trustee Yonker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And is there a motion to consider number 2, consider approval of the minutes of the special village board meeting and regular village board meeting as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Very good. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, receive comments from the public.
Somebody supposed to go first?
Yes. All yours, sir.
Okay. Good evening. Kudos to our police department. A few weeks ago, my daughter decided to go roller skating. Officer London was calm, did a great job. You guys don't get any breaks, but I want it to be official. Thank you. Got her to the hospital. Now I get to drive her all over the place. It's like going back to grammar school. I know money's tight. Make sure these guys get what they need. 4 extra cop cars. I hate to say it, but the world is crazy out there. Hard schools. That's the way it is nowadays. I mean, you're in a catbird seat. You know what I mean? You can't win, whatever. Okay? I'm on the cheer team, all right? It's all good. Moving right along, thanks for all your work. Take care of Oak Park Avenue. Just don't spend all my money because my wallet's getting real thin, okay? But thanks again. Keep up the good work. You're, okay?
Thank you, sir. How you doing, sir?
I'm nervous.
Don't be.
I've been a resident for about 50 years. Beginning of the Brementown development. And I have a situation where I had a renter that left and locked me out of the building. And subsequently, I called the village. I was having difficulty with the furnace. Winter was coming on, and I thought I better not let the pipes freeze. I called Public Works and said I'd like the water shut off, not knowing what was coming up in the near future. And they said, fine, we already shut it off. And I thought, well, okay, good, that accomplished what I would like. And subsequently, I started getting monthly bills. And the total now is up to between $900 and $1,000 and I haven't used one drop of water, not a drop of water. And so I don't know if the situation is unique or what, but it seems that the policy is such that you pay the bill or else. And in speaking to the mayor on the phone, he indicated that there's a possibility that would place a lien on my home. And it seems very harsh to me and not very reasonable because of the circumstances. So I'm here to appeal to, if I could start fresh, I could get a renter back in. I could start collecting enough money to pay my real estate tax, which is 1/3 of my entire income. And I need a fresh start on this. There was nothing ever intentional about letting any of this happen. It was out of my control. So I'm hoping we can write that off because of the fact that I haven't received anything for the amount of money that is trying to be collected.
Understand. So what I'll have you do is our Director of Public Works is right here in the front row. Kevin, if you just raise your hand, maybe exchange information with
I'm
him.
sorry, I can't hear very well.
This is our Director of Public Works, Kevin Workowski.
Okay.
He could work directly with you. And also
Oh,
for
that would be
clarification,
terrific.
I never spoke to you about this issue, so I don't know.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So Kevin will talk to you about that,
Probably talk about me.
or Mr. Niemeyer.
I had talked to him, I think that's.
Okay.
Yeah, how are you, Mr. Tuzik? Yeah.
Do I
Evening,
introduce-
sir. It's
Yeah.
all yours.
I don't
Floor
know
is
the
yours.
procedure. But hi, I'm Dan McMillan. I'm the CFO of the South Street Development. It's an LLC that was formed not many years ago to develop a project, develop a TOD, a transit-oriented development right in downtown Tinley Park. What we did is we started putting the land together over 10 years ago. We entered into a development agreement that I have here in July of 2012. Then in July of 2017, and there were things trying to put it together, and both of our sides, that we didn't break ground for those 5 years. We then, in July of 2017, did an amended development agreement that was negotiated. Still in process. It hasn't been signed, but it was negotiated. Then, last summer, we were here, and when the approval was in, to do a study to do a new TIF for the location, for the area, not just for this project. It was determined my understanding is determined that the TIF was going to be very profitable, and it's going to go into effect. The negotiations then continued with the village. A letter was issued October 11th to South Street with an offer, and negotiations did continue on at that point. During the negotiations, the plans were updated. They were submitted to the village. We had a schedule of the Planning Commission. So this was one we kept very close to our heart. We had the Planning Commission schedule when we were going to be able to go into the Planning Commission. We spent a lot of money on plans to do that. But those plans were updated with all of the consent or the discussion with the village planners and other village officials. So after being promised a hearing with the Planning Commission, somehow we were never allowed to participate. Then nothing happened, even after we got the letter October 11th to negotiate. Nothing happened until we got a call, was received on January 18th, 2018, to come to a meeting at the Village Hall, which we attended. on January 19, 2018. The meeting was attended by Joe Rizza, myself, and 3 village officials. At that meeting, a deal was put on paper and a handshake was made that there was an agreement. We were all in agreement and we were going to move forward. Something happened and we have not heard back since. I just want to point out that the investors have $3.8 million invested in this project. And if you look around Chicago, the greater Chicagoland area, many downtowns are thriving thanks to TOD projects similar to this. And what we would like to do, and the reason I'm coming up in a public place, to try to get the discussion going again so we can do this to get Tinley Park back thriving downtown. Any questions?
I don't have any. Thank you, Mr. McMillan.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Bolden, and I live on 6256 Cowson Drive, which is the Misty Pines condo, seniors 55 and older. And I'm concerned about our neighbors to the left on Ridgeland. They own a home there, and they park their cars out on Ridgeland, and it is obstructive to our view when we're leaving Cowson, turning to the left onto Ridgeland, going over the overpass on Ridgeland, going south. So I'm just wondering, a few of our neighbors have complained about it. We've been at numerous board meetings, and I'm just wondering what kind of jurisdiction do we have with that. I took pictures of how they were blocking, especially during the winter. They had a lot of their snow trucks out there on the side of Ridgeland, and 3 to 4 cars at one time. Now there is a red car out there on Ridgeland where they have for sale. And so one of our members said that we should call the non-emergency police. So I'm just wondering what procedure should we do? Should we call the non-emergency police when we see the cars out there so they can come out there and tell the neighbors about them, or what? So that's one concern that I have.
Sure. Our Deputy Chief Charles Furselli is here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certain he could recommend that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
If they're out there, give us a call, and I can't guarantee you because I'd have to look and see where they're at, whether
Yes.
they're obstructing,
I have
whether they're obstructing
pictures.
the view. When they're out there, it's
Yes.
a little bit easier. It's hard to tell sometimes from a
Sure.
picture. But
All right.
if they do this and they're obstructing the view, absolutely give us a call.
All
then
right.
Call the non-emergency number. We'll have someone come right out and take a look and see if there's something we can do
All
to
right.
help you out.
Thank you so much.
No.
My second concern with Cowson Drive is that it's a dead end. And there was Vandenberg who went belly up for whatever reason, and they didn't finish building down where I live out on Cowson Drive. It seems that it's private property. Our streets, we have to pay ourselves to get paved, and we understand the reason for that. But there seems to be that trucks come down there, and they're coming down there to use our street to go over to some empty lots that are next door to the neighbors that have the cars. And so what should we do about that?
Was that just recently you noticed?
Well, we had barriers up
Right.
at the dead end.
I was just over there the other day, actually.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the trucks you're referencing is there was a complaint that was lodged by somebody in your community about some debris that was in the undeveloped areas. Of
Yes, there is a
that
lot of
area. So
debris.
they
I was
were
down
actually
there
out
this
there
morning.
picking it up.
Yes.
So I would assume that those what the trucks were was they were the ones that were cleaning up the debris that was back on the field there. But I
Well,
could be
not-
wrong. I don't know.
No,
obviously.
I don't think so.
And I think that might be
Aaron.
another scenario then too, to reach out to the non-emergency.
Okay, all right.
Police could certainly, if there's truck traffic that's going through that shouldn't belong there, obviously that's, as you identified, it is a private drive, you're right.
We do have the barriers up, and they keep knocking them down or moving them over, and we
Interesting.
keep putting them back up. So do you think that would be all right to put a sign up that says no trucks, or no, I don't know. Do you think that that would be something that
I'm certain
we?
that your association and the police department might be able to work out some type of
Okay.
agreement, but I don't want to speak for them, obviously, but.
No, by all means, if you want, leave your information with Officer King. I'll get it from him at the end of the
Officer
meeting.
King?
And I'll make sure that someone takes a look at it.
All right.
And
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
the Vandenberg sold that property, so I don't know who the owners are now, just for clarification's sake.
Well, you know, to
That
add
was my
to
nothing
that,
in me.
we heard that there was going to be some new construction over there. The rumor is, so that's interesting that you said that Vandenberg sold the property. Thank you, I'll check with him. Leave
Thank
my
you, ma'am.
information with
I'll get
him.
it from him.
All right, thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm Crystal Levy, and I also live at Misty Pines condos. And as she stated, this is a 55-plus community. First of all, I did want to commend whoever within the village was responsible for cleaning our water towers. I've been there for 12 years, and that was done last year, first time ever, and it was quite unsightly before, so we're very appreciative of that. My concerns are safety issues. I live right there at the entrance of 183rd Street, just a few feet from the entrance and exit. There is a 50-mile-per-hour sign. Now, this is a senior community, elderly people turning out to go right, and there's 50 miles an hour. People are approaching, they see this 50 miles an hour, they're speeding up. I find that a hazard. I don't know who it is that we should talk to. I was told that 183rd Street is a state road. I was told that the village is not responsible for the cleaning, the lighting, or whatever. Also, it's extremely dark. We're across from the forest preserve. There are no lights, and then you have the speed limit. Also, I did call. I found the numbers, and I called the highway division about a 40-mile-per-hour sign that's across the, by the forest preserve. That's been down for a month. It's laying down. They told me it would be taken care of. I was hoping that if there's someone at the village who maybe would have more influence than just one resident calling about that issue. The other thing is that when there's a concert down at that center, they come in, the police have the street blocked off at Ridgeland so people can't turn. So therefore, they come through our property. We're on the streets that we pay to have paid, and come and exit on 183rd Street. They make an illegal left turn so that they can go west. I have called numerous times to the police department to report this because, one, it's usually late at night. We're seniors. There are headlights going into the people who live on the first floor. There have been limousines, everything coming through our property and exiting. And I was told that there's not enough money to pay for officers to be down at 183rd because they're down at the corner of, off of Misty Pines Drive. They're at the corner of 183rd and Ridgeland. And my thing is, you could make a mint off of the number of people that turn illegally left. And that would pay for the officer to be there. So I wanted to know, one, if we could get some kind of backing from the village about the 50-mile-per-hour sign, because I don't know how to address that.
All right, so 3 questions. The first 2, I think, are pretty much similar. You said that the village isn't responsible for it, and that's true, but I think we're here to advocate on your behalf, just like you stated. So we could certainly reach out to the different divisions. I'm not certain if that's state or county. Do you know if it's 100, is that state? Okay. So if we could try calling one of our contacts there and at least letting them know about the down speed sign that's up there. And then maybe Charles, if there's something we could do to implement a traffic study, a speed study, something around the Misty Pines area. I mean, there's got to be something that we could put together to send to the state to see if we could advocate to lower the speed limit there.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the point. With it not being our road, they're going to require some kind of study be done before they're going to even look at doing anything with that. So
So
it's
maybe we
definitely
could-
something we can add to the list of the traffic studies that we have and see if there is actually, because it has to meet certain requirements for us to be able to change that speed
Well,
limit.
I think what we could do is certainly reach out to them with a letter of support to lower the speed limit if it's something that the residents in this community are looking for. I think that's something we should be able to do. So, and then maybe they could stimulate that themselves and create that traffic study. So, and then the third question, thank you for bringing that concern back up. That's something that was discussed here last year substantially. I believe a couple of meetings with a couple of your board members in your association, if I'm not mistaken. I forget their names. I was under the impression that was kind of taken care of because I stopped hearing complaints of it. So thank you for bringing that up. The police department is aware of that situation. I'm certain we'll be able to try to rectify that somehow.
And how about lighting? Who should we talk to about getting
Yeah, and
a
that's a
street
state
light
issue,
there?
but then
There are
you have the
lights
Forest
further
Preserve as
west
well.
on 183rd Street,
Yeah.
but there's none right
It's
there. It's
a rural road
really
almost, and Forest Preserve is kind of touchy when it comes to lighting in the Forest Preserve, unfortunately, because of nature.
But we pay taxes like everybody else,
I'm
and
aware of that.
we have to.
We could certainly, when we put our...
It's a danger.
Right. It's a public safety issue, I understand. So that might be something we could add to the letter for you then. And
Okay.
Charles, if you want to reach out, maybe get her information, that way we have a point of contact.
Okay.
Thank you
very
for
much.
expressing your concerns.
Hi, my name is Matt Coughlin. In 2002, based on a lot of the plans that were put forward, I was one of the existing Tinley Park citizens who invested in building a home in the downtown area. And I bought in and subscribed to the fact that we were going to create a flourishing and growing and vibrant downtown area. Fast forward 16 years later, and we now have more vacancies and less buildings than we had when I actually built my home 16 years ago. And so really I intend to be a consistent voice to ask the trustees very specifically what the progress is. Mr. McMillan just basically talked about capital. $32 million is what I've heard, but a sizable amount of capital they want to put to work in our town to create some momentum. And I view this really just like you would a patient sitting in a hospital bed. And so when we see the momentum going in a bad trajectory, it requires an intervention. It's when a doctor steps in and says, we need to do something different. And right now we have someone who's willing to put $32 million of their capital to work in our town, but for some reason we're not acting on that and moving forward. So I really have three questions. First of all, is there anything in our current view that will break ground in the next 90 days in the Oak Park Avenue corridor? So if one of the trustees can please update us or at least help us know, is there anything in the next 90 days that will? I actually lived through the last economic downturn, which stalled all investment, and I don't know if we just think this window is going to stay open forever, and it's going to be there in perpetuity, but that's not how it works. Okay. Next, I'd like to know what the status of Woodman's is. All of us have heard about the Woodman's grocery store, or some investment in a grocery store that's going to come into our town and put their capital to work. And then lastly, just a consistent voice. Can we see what our 90-day goals are for the people who are working here relative to these objectives that are critically important for our town?
Well, it's twice in one day, Mr. Coughlin. It was nice to see you again. I think a real quick stab at your three questions. One, the shovel-ready stuff in 90 days. I don't think anybody on the board is able to address that because there are things in motion, but unfortunately that would pertain to executive session discussion only at this time. Two, the Woodman's conversation that was never at the village level. That was between Lincoln Way School District and Woodman's directly in their acquisition of the property. So I would suggest that if you'd like to reach out to them. I know that there was concerns that were raised about floodplain issues on the property, but from that point, I don't have any further discussion. And three, I believe we talked about it earlier with your strategic planning and goals set forth by the board. as well as our administration and staff. These have been discussed in a public setting for over a year now. There was an update several months ago with this PowerPoint presentation over to my left. It was conducted by the village manager discussing our strategic planning and how we're holding them accountable to the goals that this board has set forth. So I would suggest if you'd like to go back and review that, that's certainly available, as well as it being available on our village website. Mr. Bernie Brady.
My name is Bernie Brady. I'm a resident of Tinley Park. I operate a business in Tinley Park and own a commercial property in Tinley Park, actually through my wife. Last night I was reading the playbook, and in reading it and studying it, I saw that the southeast corner of 174th and 67th Court is being excluded from the benefits that would be provided by the playbook. I thought that that southeast corner was within the TIF district and thought that maybe it was incorrectly excluded. I sent Dave Niemeyer an email last night, and he respectfully responded to me first thing this morning saying he'd look into it. And Mr. Hoban, through Mr. Niemeyer, responded. I looked at the response, and the response more or less indicated to me that it should be included and not excluded. That being the case, I respectfully request that item number 17 on the agenda, which currently is listed at the bottom as saying, if first reading is waived, this resolution is eligible for adoption. I request that you not waive the first reading, and that consider adopting it at the next meeting after you have a chance to look at this particular inclusion that I'm suggesting, and potentially include it. And at that time, at the next meeting, if you want to take the amended one, and I don't think that I would object. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Brady, I did speak to Patrick Hoban today, like we discussed. Patrick, if you could address that for him.
Originally, the playbook was slated to be in the entire TIF district. We wanted everything to apply, but we learned that the old legacy zoning code that's put in place, the area that you're actually in is slated to be residential. And so we could include it, but you wouldn't be eligible for the grant anyway because it's supposed to be residential.
It's supposed to be residential. That commercial building has been standing there for 40-some years.
I completely agree, and I did not write the code. I've been here a year, but whoever did decided that they wanted it to be residential.
And in terms of the vacant lot that's next to it, I don't agree that that is currently zoned residential. That has some special provisions that were dealt with when that was subdivided, when I bought that back in 1998. Those particular special provisions were that it was to be limited in certain respects, and you can look back at those minutes from 1998 and see what it says, but it does not say in those particular minutes that it was residential. So I respectfully disagree with you, sir.
Well, the way that the code's currently written, which by the prior administration, the legacy code says that it's downtown general, which requires it to be residential.
That doesn't change. That doesn't change my request.
Gentlemen, we'll go ahead and review this. That's why it's up for first reading tonight. Mr. Brady, thank you. And it has special provisions on the property. I think it used to be a football field for my father and his brothers.
Good evening.
Hello.
You know, a couple things I just wanted to touch on. One, this keeps coming up on this code on Oak Park Avenue in so many different committees and commissions that I'm involved in, and what do we do to get that changed? I mean, it's ridiculous. We're working so hard to develop the downtown area, yet we have a code that says if they invest more than half of the value, it has to be a home. I mean, it's silly. Whose job is it to fix that?
We're working on
that,
it.
Paula?
It's one of the strategic priorities that Paul is working on now.
Good.
We're at full staff.
Okay, good, because I was shocked what came up again in a meeting. I thought that had gotten changed. The other thing is here's another example of the unsafe conditions of the music theater, of people why we don't require them to fix safe passage out of that venue. Why they don't take the responsibility of paying for security and for police staffing of people coming in and out of there. I've come to this board, I forget when, but it was after I picked up my daughter from a concert from there, and I was shocked. I almost ran over 2 people myself because people are everywhere, because there's no passage out. They're walking over I-80. I mean, it's unsafe. I've heard about it from the people that are fighting Lenny's, that one of the issues I have with it is all these kids are parking in there, and if we're gonna serve alcohol, they're gonna be grabbing it as they walk through. Here's an example of another area that's causing issues. Can we get somebody on a long-range plan of having, we've talked about having a trolley that comes downtown into the venue, and we can help businesses, but we're doing nothing to get there. Is it on anybody's long-range plan to fix this? We talk about it, everybody stares at me, nobody ever answers me, I never get a response, but, somebody needs to fix that. I'm so happy to hear that there are people that want to invest, and I can't wait to hear why it stopped. And I hope that comes out to the public, because I'm confused. Mr. Mangan, I've reached out to you many times for different financial information, because, in my business, I'm used to looking at things for reasonableness. And there's so many times here I'm so confused because none of it seems reasonable to me. And what reason I wanted to ask that is, okay, we said we're going to hire a senior accountant, and it looks like the person's doing a great job, and all of a sudden we're going to promote him to a much higher position, and looking at his qualifications, they're unbelievable. You've told me how great the accounting department is, how wonderful the staff is, all the awards they're winning, all the wonderful things they're doing, yet we're hiring somebody that seems like a very well overqualified for that position. Is this a higher paying salary than what we originally were going to do, and what is the reason that you need this now?
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, it's not an accountant, it's an assistant treasurer.
It's an assistant treasurer.
But looking at the control, all this person's qualifications, this person is well overqualified for this position.
Well, he's in the audience. I can tell you
No offense to anybody, I'm just saying that.
he's been working. Yeah, he's been working for us a while. He's done an outstanding job.
That's great. Since
We've
September.
We've talked to him. The position has been vacant, I think, for a couple years now.
But is it a senior accountant or an
It's
assistant?
an assistant treasurer.
Assistant treasurer.
Yeah, for a department, a village this size, having an assistant treasurer is vital, especially with the fact see, Brad is at the point in his career where we don't expect him to be here forever and ever, so you need to have a right-hand person and somebody with the skills of Michael. I think we're very, very happy to get him.
Okay, so this was the same position. It just seems like these positions come up and we just keep adding and adding, and I want us to see that we run like a business. What's the bottom line? What's the effect? Because it just seems like we change the plan so often, it's confusing.
Good evening. This is concerning South Street. I asked my original questions on December 5th of 2017. I was told they were $2.5 million apart as far as money was concerned. I followed up in FOIA. It's actually less than $500,000 at that point. On 1/9 of 18, I followed up and asked a couple questions concerning it as well. I asked you at that meeting if you would consider going back to South Street to try to renegotiate and hammer out a deal. And unbeknownst to me, you did. And obviously we just found that out this evening, which it's great that it happened. I'd just like to know, why aren't we moving forward? Obviously what Mr. McMillan said was a deal was put on paper on the 19th of January. It's 3 months later. I mean, their plans have been sitting in the plan department for 6 months. What are we waiting for? This is a almost $40 million project that has the potential to earn $20 million over the life of the TIF. That's a lot of money. That's a real lot of money that could really help this village. I don't understand why are we not moving forward? I mean, as Mr. McMillan said, they've already invested $3.8 million. They're serious. They want to build. Are we telling them no? I mean, are we in a position to turn away investors at this point who are willing to stake a claim and do what some great project for Tinley Park? I don't think we're in a position to be picky.
David, do you want to touch on that?
I think everyone certainly wants to see development in downtown. That's been no secret. It's part of the reason why we're creating the new TIF. But we have not got to the point with this development where there's been a deal that the village and the board is comfortable with financially. And obviously, we have to make sure that whatever deal we would agree to, that it's something that keeps the taxpayers safe. Part of what's also been a concern is that I've been here 4 years. Initially, when they talked about building, it was going to be something built kind of with a guaranteed 3 phases. The plan that's been proposed recently, there's no guarantee that a second and third phase would be built. In a high-end development, one of the attractions was making sure there was good amenities, and we don't have that guarantee. So that's really been kind of the holdup in terms of why this project didn't move forward.
Dave, I would have to respectfully disagree with you as far as myself, speaking for myself, being uncomfortable with the developer in this project. We met. I don't understand why we haven't moved forward. I can't go into it too much because there's other, like Jake said, executive session. I don't want to overstep that bound, but yeah, I personally struggle with us not going through with the project.
Anyone else? Silence. So all I can say is the optics on this are not in favor of the board. I mean, this is, perception is each person's truth and reality at this point. And my perception of your impropriety concerning South Street has been caused solely by your actions. And it doesn't bode well for this board at all. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Croner?
Hello. I'm coming up again to talk about the Finance Committee's decision on the insurance carrier guys, because I was here, this is my 3rd meeting. I don't seem to be getting some very straight answers when I'm asking very direct questions, and I'm going to look right at Trustee Mangan to help me understand some of the decisions and some of the timelines and why we did what we did as we were going through the RFQ and the RFP.
You have had 3 meetings. You have come to me in 3 meetings.
I've been,
Hold on, let me explain. You're asking
please stop my time a second.
We'll just go ahead and stand. We'll stand at the end. No problem.
My issue is that we had a group, we had a team that made the decision based on many factors on this. What I'm confused on is we had a group in here that didn't do the job that they were supposed to do under the insurance picture. We went to a fixed amount for 3 years, guaranteed, when we were paying somewhere in the range of $50,000 to $60,000 more. We're in a position where we have a better quality individual company that is working with our staff, working with the head of HR, doing the job that we expected of that individual. And when we as a team looked at all the 3 components of what we were looking for, this company gave us the best view from our view of the individual that would manage the whole program, and the fact that we were saving money and saving the village money was a big deal. So the bottom line with it is it was many factors that we looked at when we did it. And the bottom line with it, at the end of the day, we agreed to go with the company that we're with now. Simple. And it wasn't Mike Mangan's decision. It was a team's decision.
Are you the chair of the Finance Committee?
Yes.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. It was still a team effort, and the team agreed with the company.
Let me know when I can start. Because I have a lot of counterpoints to what you just said, sir.
Go ahead.
When I was here 2 weeks ago, I asked why on June 23rd your Finance Committee made a strong recommendation and an only recommendation to award the contract to Horton. I said to you at the time, you sent along with your note that Mr. Niemeyer sent to the rest of the Board and Finance Committee a 45-page portfolio on why you should choose Horton and why the village should go with Horton for this contract. That was on June 23rd. You acted as if you had not remembered this. So I brought a copy, and I'm going to give it to Mr. Niemeyer so that both of you can look at it, because Mr. Niemeyer didn't remember that either. Secondly, to your point that you said you had no issue, or you had a bunch of issues with the previous provider. Your insurance broker RFQ and Q&A dated June 6, 2017 at 5 o'clock. Question number 5, to Mr. Niemeyer and to Mr. Mangan. Has the village had any performance issues with the current carriers/vendors? Answer, no, the village has had no issues. I'm going to submit this for you so that you can see that. Contrary to what you said last time and what you're saying today. Then, 5 business days later in a Finance Committee meeting, you, sir, and your team completely changed your tone and backed away from this Horton portfolio that you submitted to everyone, that this is the greatest group to take on our village insurance policy, and then came back and said, you know, after interviewing 5 firms, we rated Alliant Mesereau, Horton Group, and Arthur J. Gallagher as the top firms. Actually, it says as the top firms a second time, too. It's a typo. You then included a draft where you checked off and did a spreadsheet on everybody. Gallagher, Horton, and Alliant, and they all were above and beyond your expectations, apparently. You stand up there, and I've heard you say this many times, that you saved money, but yet you didn't go with the cheapest guy to save the town another $10,000 to $12,000. And I don't understand why, if you sit up there and you're telling us that you did it to save money, why didn't you go with this guy that was rated at the same level after you changed your mind the first time, by the way, because you were a big fan, obviously, of Horton, and you submitted it to everybody to say, this is who we should be going with, guys. And then 5 business days later, something seems to have happened. You've had an epiphany of some sort, and say, you know what, maybe Horton's not the best. Maybe there's 3 guys that are the best. And yet you choose the highest cost vendor rather than the lowest cost vendor. You may have saved the town some money from the way they did it before, but I will tell you this. I was told by Mr. Niemeyer at the last meeting that the reason why the current guy, and I have no idea, I don't know any of these guys, okay? But Hallberg, who was handling the policy, the reason why he was not given the opportunity to bid the policy and to carry on the brokerage services the way these other 3 did is because we had numerous issues with Hallberg. Yet in your own paperwork, in writing, highlighted there, Mr. Niemeyer and Mr. Mangan, you didn't have any issues. So either you were wrong one time, you were right the second time, you were wrong the third time. I don't know. I hear a lot of things coming out of you, sir. And I know you self-proclaim yourself the ethical guy of the board.
Thanks, Mr. Croner. The time was delayed.
I really like the questions answered that I would really appreciate to get the questions answered that I'm posing here. I'm going to give you all the information.
All right, thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
You know, with all due respect to the civic lessons that the young scholarship recipients can learn here tonight, I just think going forward, maybe, you know, on a night like tonight, when we have scholarship recipients, you know, maybe we could postpone public comments until, you know, they get their scholarship recipients, because, you know, I mean, until they get their awards, because I'm sure they have better things to do with their time. Thank you.
Further comments? I'd ask to move on to item 4, receive comments from the staff. Staff like to add anything?
Yeah, the one thing I want to mention is I received a Cook County permit for 84th Avenue resurfacing project from 159 to 171. We're going to be starting that project May 9th, so you'll see work starting out there. The section from 171 and 179 is the Cook County project. They're also planning on starting in May for curb removal. The second thing I'd like to mention is Oak Park Avenue went out to state bid, and it came back, the lowest bidder was about $340,000 under our proposed budget for the total project, so that's some good news. And the fountain has been delayed for about 2.5 weeks. We should receive it by the end of May.
Chief, you got something?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just like to let everybody know real quickly that the fire department's been very busy over the last 30 days, and I'd just like to highlight two significant fires that we had. One at an occupied hotel and the other one at an occupied elementary school. In both those cases, a single sprinkler head contained both of those fires in those occupied buildings that certainly curtailed a significant loss and could have certainly resulted in injury and definitely some business interruptions. So good news on our point that a couple of sprinkler heads were able to handle a couple of significant fires and prevent that from being a significant issue in the village here for us.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Anything from the managers? No?
Just want to say I attended my first neighborhood watch meeting. Program's off to a really good start. I was really impressed by the number of people there, their interest in it, the participation that they exhibited. If you haven't been part of it, haven't seen it, haven't visited their website, please do so. They're doing a lot of really good things, and like I said, I came away very impressed by it. Just visit their website on Facebook and get involved.
Thank you, Chief. Very good. At this time, we'll move on to item 5. At this time, I ask for a motion to consider approval of the following consent agenda items. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk?
Item A, ordinance number 2018-0-022, adopting certain amendments to the Tinley Park Municipal Code 2018-S-032 supplement codification. Item B, consider request for a block party permit on Saturday, August 4th, 2018 on 167th Place between 6841 and 6933 from 11:30 a.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. Item C, consider request for a block party permit on Saturday, August 18th, 2018 on 65th Avenue between Vogt Street and 174th Street from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And lastly, item D, payment of outstanding bills in the amount of $631,067.25, as listed on the vendor board approval report dated April 20th and April 27th, 2018.
Thank you, Clerk. Any board member care to move any of these items? Let the record reflect there's none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, before I turn it over to Trustee Yonker, I'd like to echo Mr. Doyle's sentiments this evening and apologize to all of our recipients for scholarships this evening and their families. We have a very active community, and obviously there's a lot of concerns out there, so thank you for bearing with us and your patience. And we welcome you, first of all. Thank you for being here. Also, I'd like to mention that for this particular scholarship event, the village in past practice, there were revenues that were given out by the general revenue fund here in Tinley Park. We decided to take it a step further this year. We went out and solicited our business community, and we were very thankful that these businesses were able to contribute the dollar amounts that they were. So this is a fully funded scholarship program that was not used with tax dollars. So I think that's important to note, and I commend the business community as well as our staff and the CRC for getting it all done. So Trustee Yonker, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to receive the presentation from the Community Resource Youth Scholarship Awards. Rita, if you would step up and introduce our scholarship winners.
Good evening. I do want to take a moment to thank Brian, because he's the one who single-handedly went out and got all 6 of these scholarships that we're presenting today, and hopefully we'll have a few more next year.
Thanks.
We wouldn't have had the program. We made the decision to go to self-funding, and it was a little scary, but I really want to note that Trustee Yonker came through for us. And thank you for your comments to the families, because it was a little longer wait than we anticipated. There were 35 applicants for the 6 scholarships. This, by the way, makes $90,000 this year in total in scholarships been awarded through the commission since the year 2000. So again, it scares me to think how these kids get any time to study with all the work that they're doing. What we're going to do is present a little short synopsis of each student, have them come up, and then stand to the side. Once we go through the 6, we'll ask Mayor Vandenberg and any representatives of businesses. There are 6 businesses that are providing for this, and we've asked them to send someone, and we'll do a picture, so families, you're welcome to take pictures also, but the village will be taking some that will be posted. Okay. The first student I'd like to talk to you about is Victoria Bellotti. Victoria. Victoria is a senior at Victor J. Andrew High School. Kind of changed them a little. Is planning on attending the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago, majoring in applied mathematics. Victoria is involved in many extracurricular activities, such as the founder of Fandoms, Scholastic Bowl for 4 years, serving as varsity captain. 4 years with the Circuit newspaper, ending as editor-in-chief, all conference with the Mathletes, Superintendent's Advisory Council, and more. She was admitted to the National Honor Society in her junior year. Outside of school, Victoria served as a volunteer at the center as a tutor and tutor leader. And Together We Cope. With Together We Cope, St. Stephen's Church, and Orland Township Youth Services, and many other groups. Victoria states that growing up in Tinley, I've benefited on many occasions from all the volunteer service activities that are offered, and I've seen how volunteer service continuously improves the quality of life for people in the community. Congratulations, Victoria. This scholarship is funded by Christopher. Adele Gating, if I've got that right. That's good. Adele is a graduating senior from Victor J. Andrew High School and is planning on attending Loyola University in Chicago and will be majoring in pre-law with the emphasis on advocacy and social change. Alexa is involved in many extracurricular activities at school, swimming with the girls' swim team for 4 years and finishing as team captain, the girls' water polo team as team captain her senior year, and earned Athlete Scholar Award and the 2017 Sportsmanship Award. She's also involved with debate team, Mathletes, and Project Diversity. She was elected to National Honor Society in her junior year and has served as a service coordinator her senior year. Outside of school, Alexis participated as a tutor daily for 2 years at the center, moving up to tutor leader, and also 2 years as a volunteer swim guard. Adele is a did I call you Alexa? I'm so sorry. I don't know where that came from. I apologize. Adele was a transfer student and spent 2 years before she came to Tinley volunteering at her father's inner city elementary school. Adele states, I plan to continue on my path of public service. I know that I will dedicate my life to serving my community and our society. When I look within, I see a soul that longs to make a difference. This scholarship is funded by Homewood Disposal Service. Congratulations. I'm sorry about changing your name. Before I tell you about the next winner, I want to mention that she has done everything I'm going to tell you about while dealing with the handicap of being dyslexic. Caitlin Farrell, and she told me I could tell you. Caitlin is a graduating senior from Victor J. Andrew High School and is planning on attending St. Xavier University in Chicago in the fall, majoring in accounting. Caitlin is involved in many activities at school, such as swim team for 4 years, bowling team for 4 years, earning the Sportsmanship Award in 2018, water polo for 3 years, and badminton. Her outside of school activities, which added up to over 550 hours of volunteer service, has earned her the Cook County Sheriff's Award for community service 3 consecutive years. She spent many hours volunteering at the Tinley Park Farmers Market, the Tinley Park Park District, the Tinley Park Library, and the Village of Tinley Park special events, along with Sertoma, Orland Youth Services, and the Special Olympics program. Caitlin states that participating in community service has been a challenge as well as an awesome experience, and believes her time at Autumn Leaves Assisted Living Facility had the biggest impact on her. I feel this opportunity has made me more aware of the stages of human life and the problems we will all face. This scholarship is funded by Panduit Corporation. I'm going to turn the mic over to Don Budney. Don is my right-hand person on this. He puts these applications together and he makes sure they all get mailed out to the schools. I do want to mention, which I didn't at first, and I apologize, we do not judge these applications. We have 5 retired educational professionals who have no children in any of the school districts that these are restricted to, or grandchildren. And they read all of these applications. They judge using a sheet where 50% is community service, 35% are grades. So it goes on and down to add a few other categories. They do a wonderful job, and they will remain anonymous.
Thank you, Rita. Our next recipient is Matthew Jung. Matthew is a graduating senior from Lincoln Way East High School and is planning on attending St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa, majoring in nursing. In school, Matt is involved in many activities such as track, German Honor Society, Science Honor Society, St. Baldrick's Day, Air Force Junior ROTC, and cross country for 4 years, of which he was the co-captain and attained all conference honors, and many more activities which are too numerous to mention. He was inducted into the National Honor Society his junior year and then earned the designation of cum laude. In his school hours, Matt is involved in the Bridge Teen Center, which is a drop-in center for all teens after school for the past 5 years, and is a student ambassador for his organization. The St. Mary Mokina Youth Ministry as a student leader and one of the head ushers at St. George Church for the past 5 years. In his time, he has amassed over 1,000 hours of community service. In his essay, Matt states, "Service provides a quality of life that breaks down barriers and creates a new and better sense of community. Service allows for the soul to grow because the authentic act of service is an act of love. It is brought into everyday life and creates a loving community that could change a person's life and those people around them. He has seen those people who he has helped turn around and help others like the domino effect of kindness." This scholarship is being funded by Peterson, Johnson, and Murray, LLC. Congratulations, Matt. Hanel Patel is a graduating senior from Victor J. Andrew High School and is planning on attending Loyola University in Chicago in the fall, majoring in nursing. In school, Hanel is involved in many activities such as Project Diversity, Science Club, Mathletes, Business Professionals of America, Debate, French Club, Mu Alpha Theta, and many more not mentioned here. She was inducted into the National Honor Society in her junior year. Outside of school, Hanel has been involved in such as activities as the Boo Bash, the Tinley Park Easter Happenings, the Polar Express, Special Olympics, Santa Workshop, and at Palos Hospital, and more activities which total over 600 hours for 4 years, the greatest amount being spent at Palos Hospital. In her essay, Hanel states, "The most influential and enlightening community service that she participated in was at Palos Community Hospital. Volunteering at the hospital gave me not only the experience in the medical field, but also uncovered the true meaning of community service. Relentlessly assisting others showed her how greatly volunteers impact the community. The smiles and thanks she received from patients for performing menial tasks, such as bringing them a paper or just sitting and talking with them, gave her a feeling of great joy. Volunteering in the hospital has finalized my future plans of having an occupation as a medical nurse." This scholarship is being funded by Robinson Engineering. Congratulations, Hanel. And last but not least, Vincent Sampillo. He is a graduating senior from Brother Rice High School and is planning on attending Dayton University in Dayton, Ohio in the fall, majoring in mechanical engineering. At school, Vincent involved in many activities such as Crusader Robotics Team, which is developing new ideas for underwater research, marching band and jazz band for 4 years, political club, choir, and school musical. Vincent was inducted into the National Honor Society in his sophomore year and was named the 2018 Illinois State Scholar for Academic Achievement. Outside of school, Vincent is involved in many more activities. The Edmund Rice Summer Camp Counselor, Savers Drive at St. Stephen's, Cub Scout Day at Camp Counselor, St. Leo's Veterans Home Christmas Dinner Helper, Feed My Starving Children Drive, and especially his Eagle Scout project of 2017, to which he devoted over 70 hours to earn the Eagle Scout badge. Over 4 years, he has devoted over 400 hours of community service. In his essay, Vincent states, "I completed my Eagle Scout project for Boy Scouts in September 2017, a rank few Scouts ever achieve." His project's beneficiary was the Courage Program, a group which provides baby goods and services to young single mothers and their children. During summer 2017, he successfully organized 2 diaper drives, collecting over 12,000 diapers, plus formula, wipes, and clothing. He also raised funds and installed shelving at their ministry headquarters. From this experience, he learned how to demonstrate leadership, to be a better communicator, time management, and prioritize tasks, and to plan and prepare for the future ahead. The most important thing in this project helped him to appreciate the value of community service, for which he will always be remembered. This scholarship is being funded by Whistle 2. Congratulations, Vincent.
At this point, we'd like to make some presentations, and we're going to do it in alphabetical order. So, Victoria Bellotti, and we have someone here from Christopher Berg Engineering?
No.
Caitlin Harrell. And do we have someone here from Panduit Corporation? Thank you. Up here. The pictures will go up on the website, and if you give an email to Don Clancy, I'm sure she can get it out to you. Is that right? Adele, you should have been next. I got you out of order. This poor child, I keep trying to change your name and everything. Homeward disposal. And we have a gentleman who will take it up with you. Thank you. Matthew Young? John. Sorry. And Peterson, Johnson, and Murray.
Where'd it go?
That's our local
The nurse.
attorney.
No. He'll take care of you when you're sick.
Thank you. Thanks. Hinal Patel? And I don't think there's anyone here from Robinson. Okay, and last but not least, Vincent Sampillo.
Thank you very much.
And is there anyone here from the Whistle too? Okay, can we ask all of you to come up front together and get a group picture? Wait. So go on up there, Mom. Okay. Whoever's got the camera. Let's get the.
All right, ready? Smile. One more. I'm sorry, I'm on the camera. I'm trying to get out.
Everybody good?
No, sorry.
Okay.
Just a short one. Thanks, Don.
In the back, you good?
Everybody got pictures? Mayor, since I assume these students have not yet graduated, we'd like your permission to excuse them and their families from the meeting.
Your excuse, go home and get the homework done.
That's exciting.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That's it?
We do have to, we put these agendas together. We really, we should.
I'll wait, go ahead. What's a couple more minutes?
It's a good civics lesson.
That's all right. Yeah, that's all right. We're gonna pause for 2 minutes. We had a couple that had to use the restroom, so if you need to do that, go ahead and use the facilities before we get into our 20 more items tonight. She's in here, so I'll jump back.
Do what I do. French fries. Some flavor around.
Continue on with our meeting this evening. This time, item 7, I ask for a motion to consider proclaiming May 6th through May 12th as Municipal Clerks Week in the Village of Tinley Park.
So moved. So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Again, this is for proclaiming that May 6th through May 12th is quote, Municipal Clerks Week, and extend appreciation to the members of our clerk's office and to all of our municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. I'd just like to take a hat off to all of our clerks, clerk matrons, and certainly our elected clerk, Kristen Therian, for all the work that she does to provide best services to our residents, and certainly the board and officials for all of our documents and getting everything in line. So, hats off to you. It's well deserved.
A reception will be forthcoming.
Oh, fabulous. Let us know where it's at. Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry. Looking forward to it. Item 8, ask for a motion to consider proclaiming May 21 through May 27 as National Public Works Week in the Village of Tinley Park.
So moved.
The motion?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Yonker, seconded by Ms. Klotz. Again, this would be proclaiming May 21 through May 27 as National Public Works Week. We pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. It's a little extended, but no, I'm just kidding. I mean, you guys do a fabulous job. Yeah, day in and day out, continuing to provide a high level of service to our residents. I know that yesterday I made a quick phone call to Mr. Urbanski, and that issue was taken care of rapidly. So another testament to all the wonderful things that you guys do down in the Public Works Department. I don't know if Trustee Yonker, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, the men and women do a great job down there.
Is there a reception as well? Or?
It's a party.
No? Barbecue? No?
There's always a party.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So it be closed. Item 9.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, before
Attorney
Trustee
Conley?
Glotz goes on this, thank you. We had some, this is a very long project we've been working on with a lot of parties involved, a lot of property owners along Oak Park Avenue. Credit to Paul and her staff for guiding this through. It's been a very good team effort here. However, today we had some proposed changes to the plat itself. Nothing on the boundaries, nothing substantive really. It's the First Midwest Bank was involved in this. Had some suggested changes on signature lines, and we might not have gotten their correct legal name work, how they wanted it signed. So I'd ask if you could make the motion, Trustee Glotz, to also include, as part of your motion, to include the ability to amend for just for form issues, no substance. The lot. If you approve these boundary lines, that will not be changing. It's just form of the plat. So if you can add to your motion, subject to slight revision as the form.
All right, so you got to call the ordinance, and we'll add that amendment to the motion as well. So
Thank
if
you.
Want to call, no, I'll add it to the end.
That'd be great.
Bartlett?
I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting resolution number 2018-R-018, approving the village and owner's plat of re-subdivision for the petitioner, Village of Tinley Park, on behalf of owners of properties on Oak Park Avenue, commonly known as 17424 to 17500 Oak Park Avenue.
And then to piggyback off of what the counselor suggested, we're going to add for amendment to subject to include the ability to amend the form of the plat and not specific boundaries or issues.
Appreciate it.
So
Second.
Properly moved and seconded by Trustee Yonker. Go ahead.
Thanks, Brian. The petitioner, Village of Tinley Park, on behalf of 4 property owners, the address is 17424-17500 Oak Park Avenue, is seeking approval of a plat of re-subdivision that rectifies boundary discrepancies between the south line of Lot B in the Hickory Square subdivision and the north line of Herman Steckman subdivision. The plat of re-subdivision has been agreed to by all impacted property owners. The resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Glotz. And I would just add that this doesn't look really fancy on this document, but what this is allowing to move forward is actual development, economic development. And again, contrary to what some would say, did a nice job in working through a counselor, community development, Trustee Glotz. So, thank you. This is up for adoption. Any other comments from the board? Good. Roll call, please.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glotz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10, Trustee Glotz.
I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting resolution number 2018-R-019, adopting a policy for the code compliance abatement for lawn mowing.
Second, go ahead.
Thanks, Brian. Staff is requesting a policy change to deal with the chronic violations of the village's weed and grass ordinances. The current policy utilizes a contractor on call to mow properties in the violation of village ordinance. Staff is recommending a change in procedure that will utilize a mowing contractor to monitor and maintain properties that are in the chronic violation of the ordinance. Per staff statistics, 100% of the properties mowed over the past 3 years have been vacant. This change in protocol will decrease staff's involvement in monitoring, identifying, and enforcing the grass weed ordinance and will result in more administration of the code. It's also anticipated that the village will receive more competitive bids by providing a contractor with an established list of properties rather than sporadically enforcing and on-call requests. Labor and cost savings will allow the village to continue to move forward a more proactive code enforcement program. The Community Development Committee reviewed this policy on April 17, 2018 meeting and recommended staff forward the policy to the village board for approval. Resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Bronx. Again, it is up for adoption. And note that this was just discussed in committee. Is there anything discussion that the board would like to have? This is before we for the first time. There's no discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 11, Attorney General, you had something?
Yes. All right, thanks again, Board. It came to my attention before the meeting that the price, we had the not-to-exceed amount wrong in this motion. It is actually less than $90,000. The correct number that we got from John Urbanski was $60,000. So I believe Brian, Trustee Yonker, will be making that, the $60,000 a part of his motion. Just want to make everybody aware of that. That is not, so it's not to exceed $90,000, it's $60,000. And then lastly, the write-up information was the same one that we used for last time. I'm not 100% sure this, I think this project, this is a continuation of that emergency repair. Right, so Brian, or Trustee Yonker will have, for those paying attention to the screen up there, the information you see as the write-up will be a little bit different than what you hear from Trustee Yonker, but subject to the motion being made for not to exceed $60,000 and Trustee Yonker accurately describing the project, I'm okay with it going forward. Just want to let everybody be aware. He can just make the motion as long as it's, as long as he uses the number 60,000 instead of 90,000, we'll be okay.
Trustee Yonker, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion for the board considering adopting Resolution 2018-R-024, waiving the formal bidding process and granting an emergency expenditure authority to the village manager for the execution of a contract for the repairs of the pressurized sanitary sewer main at 167th and Normandy in amount not to exceed $60,000.
Second. Thank you. Go ahead.
During the February 22nd emergency repair of the 167th Street forced sanitary main, it was found that the adjacent section of pipe buried from the north westbound lanes crossing 167th to the south, eastbound lanes in the same state of near failure as the section repaired. To take advantage of the current operations and existing sleeve casing, it was recommended by Aries, the emergency contractor, to evaluate the line crossing at 167th. Recommendation to replace the existing iron pipe with HDPE plastic pipe was made and agreed by Christopher Burke Engineering. This request extension of repairs allows for the work to be conducted prior to the existing patch on the south lane to be permanently replaced, resulting in an approximate savings of $6,000 and further prevention of a failure emergency repair on this section of sewer main.
All right, so this is authorizing the village manager to spend monies in case of emergency. Are there any questions from the board? Roll call, please.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. You'll make that correction. It's not 60,000.
Yeah, I noted it earlier.
Item 12, Trustee Yonker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to the board considering awarding a contract to J&J Newell Contractors Incorporated for the Harlem Avenue sidewalk improvements.
Second. Thank you. Go ahead.
There's currently an interrupted sidewalk sections of the east and west side of Harlem Avenue, 167th and 171st Street. The sections of missing sidewalks on Harlem Avenue are located between 170th Place and Sandy Lane, 170th Street and Hanover Place, Senior Living, south of 168th Place and north of 168th Place to MB Financial Bank. As a result, many pedestrians over the years have been walking in the street and on medians, which is putting themselves and vehicles at risk. This area is traveled by pedestrians wanting to get to the local post office, grocery stores, and other stores. The scope of work includes the construction of a new sidewalk in the above locations. The sidewalk alignment will be adjusted to accommodate existing landscapings along the line. Bids for the project were received on March 29th. If the clerk could add all the bids in there. For the record, it was determined that J.J. Noel Concrete Contractors Incorporated provided the village with the lowest responsive and responsible bid. Consider awarding a contract to J.J. Noel Contractors Incorporated for Harlem Avenue with a not to exceed $155,171.60.
Trustee Haniker, expenditure of funds, any comments on the board? Any comments from the public regarding that item? Let the record reflect there's none, please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 13, Trustee Panito.
I'd ask the board to consider adopting resolution number 2018-R-006, amending section 2.9 in the personnel manual pertaining to employment of relatives.
Is there a second?
Second?
Second.
Thank you, go ahead, Mike.
Basically, this came up on a prior February 6, 2018 agenda. It went to committee. We talked about it quite a bit. Bottom line, the old code used to say direct supervision of relatives was discouraged. Now it will say direct supervision of relatives is prohibited. However, there'll be a provision so that the board can waive that. So if it's a fireman family, like where the kid was a fireman and the father's a fireman, he'll be able to supervise them, or police, or that type of thing. So that's what we're voting on.
Very good. Thank you, Trustee Pino. Any other comments from the board regarding this item? This is up for adoption. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 14, Trustee Pino.
Ask the board to consider adopting ordinance number 2018-0-026, amending certain sections of Tinley Park's Village Code and Tinley Park Employee Handbook pertaining to residency for village employees.
Is there a second?
Second.
Basically, this came up a couple committee meetings ago. The village staff asked us to consider amending the borders from the center of town where they'd measure to the other place. Basically, residency's already changed, so this just makes it a slightly different place to measure from, which I guess will give them a broader group of candidates to use for different jobs. That's what we're voting on here.
Thank you, Trustee Pino. Again, up for adoption. Anybody from the board care to comment on this adoption? Record reflect there's none. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 15, Trustee Pino. Is he next?
This might be more than I've done all year, I think, so far. I'd like the board to consider adopting ordinance number 2018-0-024, increasing the number of Class A liquor licenses that can be issued in the village for, I guess, 350 Brewing Company, LLC, located at 7144 183rd Street.
Second.
Go ahead.
I don't know if everybody in the public is aware, but we have a cap on the number of liquor licenses that can be issued. 350 Brewing Company has a license that allows them to have craft beers. 350 Brewing Company came to the village. Eventually, it came to the Administrative and Legal Committee. Apparently, they'd like to be able to serve mimosas, wines, and other drinks to guests that don't want craft beers. He made a pretty nice presentation. I'm not a huge fan of expanding liquor and such things. However, I think this is a good business and an asset to the community, and therefore I'm making this motion.
Thank you, Trustee Pino. Yes, and I'd expand upon that a little bit as well. They've been in the village for a long time. Owners in the back there. This is part of a common trend in the business community in the liquor business community, bars, for Bloody Mary bars and mimosas and such for Sunday mornings. And I think that's where this is kind of being driven from. They're just other establishments in our community are hosting those events and are advertising it, and they would also like to do the same. So thanks for bringing that to the committee, Mike. And any other comments from the board? Very good. Roll call, please.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 16, Trustee Brady.
Yes, I'd like to have the board to consider a motion adopting Resolution 2018 R022, authorizing a professional services agreement with FGM Architects, Inc. to perform certain architectural services for Fire Station Number 47, formerly known as Number 2, in the village of Tinley Park.
Second.
Go ahead.
Okay, as the RFQ was issued on February 12th of 2018 for architectural engineering services for construction of Fire Station 2, the company would assist with design and work collectively with the previously selected construction management company firm R.C. Wigan and the Village of Tinley Park representatives to contact the replacement fire station. He would be required to properly execute the scope of the work contained within the contract documents. There were 12 proposals submitted to the response to the RFQ. The list was narrowed and 5 firms were interviewed. FGM Architects were selected by the committee based on the qualifications, projection time, and the cost of services. They have provided us with a total estimate cost of professional services to design an approximately 8,000 square foot station with a basement and 3 apparatus bays at a total cost of $270,000. This item was discussed at the Public Safety Committee held on April 10th, 2017. I'd like to have you consider entering into a professional services agreement with FGM Architects to provide design, engineering, professional services for the construction of Fire Station Number 2/47 in the amount not to exceed $270,000. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. And just for the record, it's April 10th, 2018, that it was discussed at Public Safety Committee. Small typo in here. Right up. Just for the record.
So noted.
Thank you. Okay, any comments from the board? This is a expenditure of funds. Any comments from the public regarding that item? The record reflect there is none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yes.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 17, Trustee Berg.
I'd like to make a motion considering adopting resolution number 2018 R-021, creating the 5 grant programs known as the Oak Park Avenue Playbook for the Downtown Core and Downtown Flex districts. Number 1, facade grant. Number 2, code compliance grant. 3, retail grant. 4, sign grant. 5, landscape grant.
This is for first reading this evening. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Funding for the Oak Park Avenue Playbook grant programs has been approved, and with the new fiscal budget, and will be available beginning today, May 1st, 2018, the new Bremen TIF district has been identified as the long-term funding source for these programs, with the potential to also use general funds to kickstart their programs. The Economic and Commercial Commission, the Main Street Commission, and the Economic Development and Marketing Committee have reviewed the program proposals and supported this economic development initiative for the downtown area. The village board approved the grants and the concept and recommended $350,000 be included in the 2018 fiscal budget. Most recently, the Economic Development and Marketing Committee reviewed the final draft of the program and design guidelines at the April 24th, 2018 meeting and recommended it to the village board for your approval this evening. This is the first reading.
Thank you, Trustee Berg. Any comments
Thank
from
you.
the board?
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, no.
Only thing I'd like to ask if it's possible, I know this is the playbook, but kind of tie it all in together with developing downtown is, I spoke to Donna a little bit this morning, or before the meeting about it, maybe using a small portion of this to maybe use as have her look into maybe a trolley service that we could tie into the music theater where, people from downtown Maybe Deputy Chief, if it's okay, we could have him look into, see how they could give us access in and out, have a trolley so they could bring people back and forth from the concert, so they could, visit our establishments in downtown.
Yeah, it was also, I also talked to Donna last week about that. It was interesting that it was brought up this evening about the trolley. That we were going to possibly talk about reaching out to the business community as well on Oak Park Avenue, talk to them about maybe creating a coalition to find a funding mechanism that, to bring these people from the establishments downtown. That's something that we can certainly consider. I'm open to any conversation that comes to that. So.
Yeah, and maybe even if it's successful, Jake, and like you said, we get this established, maybe to pay for one of them, maybe the village can maybe help with a second one if it takes off. Just to help the business owners in downtown or alleviate traffic.
Yep, I think it's something we can consider.
It's fantastic. They can actually come back to the downtown after a show instead of being rerouted.
I don't know if this is the place, but I remember in the old days, Gamboni's, people would go there, park their car, and then go to the concert. That was good for business. It was good for the concert. There wasn't as much traffic. I think it's a great idea. I just got to get it on the agenda, I guess.
Very good.
Sounds great.
Again, it's the first reading, as we requested earlier, so we'll have the second reading on this and the final adoption on our May 15th meeting, I believe it is. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Thank you. Item number 18, Trustee Berg.
I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting resolution number 2018 R-016, seating the aggregate remaining unused allocation of 2018 private activity bond volume cap of the Village of Tinley Park to the Illinois Finance Authority and the Will Kankakee Regional Development Authority.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Tinley Park receives a direct allocation of private activity bond volume cap every year based on our population. The 2018 allocation is $5,953,815. By May 1st, today, of each year, the village must obligate the allocation to eligible local projects or cede the allocation for use by other agencies. Since January, no local projects have requested industrial revenue bond financing through this program. In order to support projects that will create jobs and expand the tax base in the region, this ordinance will cede $5,953,815 to the Will Kankakee Regional Development Authority. This item was discussed in the Economic Development and Marketing Committee last week, April 24, 2018. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Very good. Thank you, Trustee Berg. Again,
Thank
for
you.
adoption. Anybody from the board care to comment on that? Very good. Roll call.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 19, Trustee Berg.
I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting ordinance 2018-0-25, approving the integration of the Main Street Commission and the Economic Commercial Commission.
Second. Go ahead.
The village has two business-related commissions, the Main Street Commission and the Economic and Commercial Commission. Current ordinance calls for the 9-member Economic and Commercial Commission to identify community-wide programs that would support the employment climate, review and make recommendations on business incentive programs, and host the annual Business and Economic Forecasting Breakfast, May 9th, 2018, while the Downtown-focused Main Street Commission ordinance calls for the commission to review and make recommendations on prospective downtown developments, review downtown sign permits, and oversee events. A new ordinance has been drafted to create an 11-member and 4 associate-member Economic and Commercial Commission that will make recommendations on all of the incentives. This ordinance was discussed at the Economic Development and Marketing Committee held last week, April 24th, 2018, and is eligible for adoption.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members care to comment? Just like to thank all the commissioners for their volunteerism.
Absolutely. It's a lot of work.
This is up for adoption. Can we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
That motion will carry. Thank you. Item number 20, Trustee Manning.
I'd like to make a motion to consider Resolution 2018-R-023, authorizing the first renewal and amendment to a non-exclusive license agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and Cavallini's in the Park, Inc. at the Oak Park Avenue train station.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead.
This is a non-exclusive license agreement with Cavallini's in the Park, Inc. and the Oak Park Avenue Train Station. Staff is recommending a 5-year contract extension per the original agreement dated March 6, 2013. The term would be extended for a period of 5 years, commencing on March 6, 2018, unless sooner terminated pursuant to the terms of the agreement. On March 5, 2023, the extended term upon the same terms and conditions as the original agreement. The item was discussed at the Finance Committee meeting held on April 17, 2018. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Trustee Langen. Any comments from the board?
And when did this change? I thought you were going to do 2 years.
We agreed last month, a month and a half ago, to go 5 years on.
We have, Kevin, we have funded for anything else that's aging in there, the coolers, that might need to be replaced again.
There's stuff in there that's has been funded, that would have to check in the cooler.
Right here.
Thank you.
Point out that another business is staying in Tinley Park, and we're welcome to have you, Norm. Thank you. Appreciate you sticking it out and hanging with us.
And opening up his breakfast again.
Definitely
Just
happy about
everyone
that.
know that breakfast is open again at Cavallini's.
5 a.m. tomorrow.
5 a.m.
Until
Hopefully it's hot while we're done.
Yeah.
I don't see us getting hired before 11. But anyways, roll call, please.
Trustee Alker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Absolutely.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Absolutely means yes. Item 21, Trustee Mangan.
I'd like to make a motion to defer this agreement between Tinley Park and Rights Benefit and move it back into the Finance Committee. There's been discussion with Dave, and I think there's some other options that we'd like to look at on this. So I'd like to defer it back.
I'd like to make a motion to direct it to our village manager.
Right. So it's been,
You have a motion on the table by trustee Mangan to move it to committee. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
okay, so we'll call a roll on that.
There's a discussion. If there's any more discussion?
Sorry, is there a discussion referencing the fact that it's going back to committee?
Would that be different than your motion, Cindy, or?
Yes, a different motion.
What's the time frame?
Mine's
Do we have a
different.
time frame? If we filed with Irma, there's a time frame, Dave, correct?
Yeah,
How much-
Why don't we just do this? Mr. Niemeyer, if you want to just, before we go into discussion, why is it that we're deferring it back?
You want to go through it, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's other options that we want to look at potentially, so that's really it. But we do need to we need to have a Finance Committee meeting soon to be able to kind of meet the timetable that Irma has set, where we have to let them know by the end of August if we're leaving or not.
Okay, so we'll have a Finance Committee.
Can't we go with our current broker now? I mean, and they'll just get us prices. I thought that's what we're looking to do, is get prices. I mean, we're not signing anything, we're going out to market.
We don't have,
Well, what
we
about?
don't have a current broker.
But the new broker that we're using for health insurance, can we use him to?
Well, it's a completely different part of the business. I would not recommend doing that. No, I think there's other options. In fact, our new assistant treasurer and I have talked about some options, possibly using multiple brokers, but I wouldn't just select one without going through some type of a competitive process.
All right, is there any other discussion on the motion that was?
Yeah, I didn't get to finish.
Well, we need to do a motion and a call on that first. And then your motion,
Well,
really.
you can, it's open for discussion for trustee Burke.
Yeah, I mean,
It's okay?
you can have discussion, there's no motion.
Oh, so, okay, well, I just wanted to direct Dave to get quotes from our current provider, Alliant Mesero, because it's already, we have them, so there's no cost to get a quote from them.
All right,
We're already
so that
using
will all
them.
discuss at the Finance
Yeah.
Committee, I assume. So the motion
Okay.
has been moved by trustee Mangan to defer this back to item 21, back to Finance Committee. It was properly seconded by trustee Brady.
Yes.
So that would be a roll call for that, please.
Trustee Alker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, motion carries. So that will be back in Finance Committee. Item 22.
I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting ordinance number 2018-0-012, dissolving the special tax allocation fund and terminating the designation of the Main Street South Development Project area.
Is there a motion? Pardon me, a second?
Second.
Second.
Second, go ahead.
The Joint Review Board for the proposed new Bremen Tax Increment Financing District met on March 1st, 2018 to make determination if the proposed redevelopment plan and project area met the qualifications to move forward. Property cannot be located in more than one TIF simultaneously. The redevelopment area of the proposed new Bremen TIF substantially overlaps the boundaries of the existing expanded Main Street South TIF. This ordinance initiates the process to terminate the expanded Main Street South TIF, which will become effective on May 1st, 2018. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Trustee Lincoln?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. These are, we are doing adoption tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's posted.
Okay. I thought it was first reading for some reason, but it's out, it's, by law, you can't adopt tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Any comments from the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Yonker.
Yay.
Trustee Panito.
Yes.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mangan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 23, Trustee Mangan.
I'd like to make a motion to consider ordinance number 2018-0-015, an ordinance designating the Village of Tinley Park, New Bremen Tax Increment Financing District redevelopment project area.
Is there a second?
Second.
On August 15, 2017, the Village of Tinley Park authorized moving forward with a feasibility study of the Tax Increment Finance TIF Act to determine if the area generally bounded by 172nd Street, 179th Street, 67th Avenue, 66th Court, and 69th Avenue be designated as a redevelopment project area. On January 24, 2018, the village announced the availability of the redevelopment plan and project for the proposed 89-acre New Bremen TIF district. On March 1, 2018, the New Bremen TIF district Joint Review Board met and gave a favorable recommendation of the redevelopment plan and project. Earlier this evening, April 3rd, 2018, a public hearing for the that would have been 2 weeks ago. For a public hearing for the New Bremen TIF redevelopment plan and project was held. There are several separate steps required by state statutes, including the process that already been completed to formally create the proposed new Bremen TIF district. This item and the following two agenda items, ordinances 2018-0-015, -016, and -017, serve to formally establish a new Bremen TIF district. This first ordinance designates the redevelopment project area, sets the boundaries for the 89-acre New Bremen Tax Increment Financing District. This ordinance is eligible for first reading.
All right, so we have a first reading this evening. Any comments from the board?
I just want to make a couple comments on this and the corresponding ordinances. This is one I've been struggling with for a long time. I've basically been against the TIF. I've had different ideas with what ought to happen downtown and how we ought to fund it. But as concerned as I am about doing the TIF, I'm concerned what will happen if we don't do the TIF. Are we going to get development downtown without? Is there going to be retail downtown without? Heard from a lot of people on this matter. In fact, I heard from some today. Mr. Coughlin said, and it's a good point, there's a limited opportunity to act. Economic cycles go up and down. Right now, the realities of the land ownership and everything else, we may not make this economic cycle if we don't do anything. And Nancy O'Connor spoke about South Street. Make no mistake, South Street's coming with their handout. They're not going to build anything without some support from the village. We don't have the kind of money in our budgeted to help them out. What you're counting on is TIF money coming in that can be used to help them. I know other jurisdictions have done bonds on the anticipated revenues from the TIFs to get things started. I've been against it the whole time, basically, but I've been more and more as I've been seeing what's happening and the realities of the situation on the fence. What's kind of pushed me now is so far everybody I've heard from, the businesses seem to be for it, the residents seem to be for it, the park district, school district, and other taxing bodies have shown their support. The only person who really came in, and I think it might be the young man sitting next to Bernie Brady, I don't know if that's the same guy, but at the last TIF district he came in and he said, and it was dead right, We'd be better off if they never did the TIF, because our equalized assessed valuation there is lower because things have closed. The land has sat vacant because speculators are hoping to make a big buck on big projects. My vision of what ought to happen downtown, how we ought to fund it, I don't think is really going to happen given the realities that we have now. I'd like to see an incubator type business. I'd like to see organic growth. But those things aren't going to happen. I think that right now I'm going to vote for this TIF, but I'm doing that with trepidation, and I'm doing that with the hope that the people that are sitting in these seats over the next 23 years will be watching each dollar that goes out, will be watching what it goes to, and make sure that it's for the good of the people in this city, not only the ones in the TIF, but the ones outside the TIF, the businesses outside the TIF, and the residents as a whole. Make no mistake, if you build stuff downtown, they're going to need more services, and somebody's going to have to pay for them. And the way the TIFs are set up, some of that money can come from the TIF, but it doesn't have to. That's what I have to say on that.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
So, thank you. There's no other comment that asks for, pardon me, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 24.
24, I'd like to make a motion to consider ordinance number 2018-0-016, an ordinance approving the Village of Tinley Park, New Bremen Tax Increment Financing District redevelopment project area, redevelopment plan and project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead.
This is a companion ordinance to the previous agenda item regarding ordinance number 2018-0-015, which set the boundaries of the New Bremen TIF district. The current ordinance would approve the redevelopment plan and project, a document outlining the possible redevelopment activities and improvements contemplated over the 23-year life of the TIF district for the 89-acre New Bremen Tax Increment Financing District. This ordinance is eligible for first reading.
Thank you, Trustee Mangan. Any comments from the board at all? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So 2 nays. Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to consider ordinance number 2018-0-017, an ordinance of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook, and Will County, Illinois, adopting the New Bremen Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Plan and Project.
Is there a second?
Second.
This is a companion ordinance to the previous 2 agenda items regarding ordinance number 2018-0-015 and 2018-0-016, which set the TIF boundaries and approve the redevelopment plan and project to guide activities in the TIF district over its limited period of existence. The tax increment financing authorized by this ordinance would enable this economic development tool to assist the village to encourage redevelopment within the boundaries of the New Bremen TIF district and potentially undertake related public infrastructure improvements. This ordinance would approve tax increment financing for the New Bremen Tax Increment Financing District and is the last step in formally creating this TIF district. This ordinance is eligible for first reading.
Thank you, Trustee Mangan. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, just like to add on this last one, Jake, wait till the last one. I've been in favor of this TIF all along. The problem I struggle with is exactly seeing the gentleman stand there. We have a project sitting on the shelf and can't go into details, but for the reason it's not moving forward, I totally disagree with. And that's why I'm unfortunately against it.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 26, at this time I'd ask for a motion to consider appointing Charles Faricelli as interim police chief, which was effective on April 28, 2018. Is there such a motion?
Second.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Mangan and seconded by Mr. Brady. Due to the resignation and retirement of the police chief, Steve Neubauer, on April 27, 2018, it is recommended that Charles Faricelli be appointed interim police chief, which was in effect on April 28, 2018. The village is undergoing a national recruitment to select a permanent replacement for Chief Neubauer. The selection process will include both internal and external candidates. This was discussed, so please consider appointing Charles, making it official, and appointing Chief Charles Furicelli as interim police chief effective on April 28, 2018. It's been moved and seconded. Is that all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Congrats.
Congratulations, Chief.
Congratulations.
Item 27, Trustee Mangan.
I'd like to make a motion to consider the appointment of Michael Zanonis to the position of Assistant Treasurer.
Second.
Michael Zanonis was hired as acting senior accountant through GovTems on September 18, 2017, and has performed satisfactorily in that position. Mr. Zanonis has earned an MBA in finance and brings 28 years of experience in financial and compliance management. He has served as Chief Financial Officer for the City of Chicago, Kansas City Department of Aviation, Rockford and Pewaukee, and was Controller for DuPage National Bank. Mr. Zionis has been awarded numerous certificates of achievement for financial reporting, Distinguished Budget Presentation Awards, and is a licensed commercial pilot. If approved, this promotion will be effective today, May 1st, 2018. Consider concurring with the recommendation of President Vandenberg and appoint Michael Zionis to the position of Assistant Treasurer.
Thank you, Trustee Mangan. And just because I've been practicing it all day, it's Zanzius? Michael?
It's Zanzius.
Zanzius.
But that's
So,
fine, I've heard it's fine.
and as was noted earlier by several members of our public, you are very well credentialed, and we are very lucky to have you, and we're looking forward to all the good work that you'll do for this town. So thank you very much for being with us and trusting in the fact that this is the place that you want to call home. So.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to working with everyone here. You know, when I came in September, I had no idea I was going to stay this long, but it was the people I worked with, you know, that really made this a welcoming community, and I really enjoy and love what I do. And Brad and his team have really built a very solid financial package here. You have a great solid foundation in financial management, and I just look forward to working with that foundation and giving you a better one.
Here, here. Welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mike.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Item 28, receive comments from the board.
I just have.
Brady, you got something, right?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I'd like to check it, throw it back to our chief of the fire department, Chief Forrest Reeder, on the exciting weekend that you have planned for all the citizens of Tinley and the surrounding communities.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. A big weekend over at the 80th Avenue train station. The Firefighters Association is hosting the Firefighter Combat Challenge on May 4th and 5th. I'd like to invite everybody to make sure you wake up nice and early and watch the WGN Around Town segment that airs between roughly 7:30 and 9:30 in the morning, and they will be broadcasting live 7 or 8 times in the morning out there watching the firefighters go through some practice events as part of the Combat Challenge. The schedule is obviously accessible at any time on the department website and that. So we'll be hosting the Combat Challenge on the 4th and the 5th. And on the 6th will be our Run for Your Life Safety 5K, 5K race, and the 1K Kids Dash on Sunday to support the Illinois Camp I Am Me Burn Camp.
Good, Chief. Thank you very much. Hope it's successful.
Thank you very much.
I'm not going to be participating in that, by the way. You asked me, I can't.
I saw it on the agenda.
They have a 1K. Are you talking about the challenge?
I'm talking about
Not
the
the
challenge.
kids.
Oh, okay.
I said I'd follow the chief. So, anything else on the board?
The children.
I'd just like to note, being May 1st, it's 1 year since our swearing in as elected officials. It's been an interesting year, to say the least. There's been a lot that has been accomplished behind the scenes, and a lot that I think that, for the most part, we're doing good work here in Tinley Park, and I'm proud to call this home, and I'm looking forward to continuing another year working with every one of you here on the board, as well as all of our administration and staff. So keep up the good work, everyone, and with that, good things will come. I'd also like to just note that being the first 80-degree day of the summer, I'm looking forward to all the wonderful events that the summer and spring have for all of our Tinley Park residents, and just encourage all of our staff to keep a positive attitude. and make sure that we're providing an excellent service for these residents, and looking forward to each one of those events. So, thank you very much. Nothing else from the board? This time I'd ask for motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss the following items. A, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. B, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the findings shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. C, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or the representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. D, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired. And E, the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. We'll be in executive session. Nothing will be following. Have a good night. Drive safely. Enjoy the weather.